So topical back with another video. I'm Strange Wang. He is Nate. Today we're doing top 5 war movies for All Quiet on the Western Front. And this video is clipped out of our podcast, not topical. Eye in the corner, check that out. But let's get into the top 5.
Top 5, no debating. Top 5, top 5, top 5.
He'll tell you how the top 5s go, and then we'll get on into it.
He's going to do his 5 and 4. I'll do my 5 and 4, 3, 2, 3, 2, trade off number ones. We also have something called the Zemeckis rule, which just means that we both have the same movie on our list, but one person has it 2 spots or higher. We only talk about it once when we get to it on the higher one.
Alright. Grain of salt with my list. I looked at it, and I was like, man, I haven't seen a lot of classic horror movies, so I went through my blockbuster-esque collection of movies, and I was pulling out movies here and there, and I was like, for example, Platoon. Classic movies I own on physical media that are war movies that I should have watched for this list, and I had a stack of them, and then I went and I looked myself in the mirror, and I was like, you're not watching these. You're just going to watch House. So I put them all back where they were. So here's my list. Number 5, Hacksaw Ridge.
Never seen it.
Great movie. Mel Gibson directs it, so it has that like grittiness. He's not scared to get fucking dirty.
Mm-hmm.
And this movie's fucking dirty, like cold, dog. Like, you see some fucked up shit in this movie, but it balances. It makes it realistic to like the true story, but feels like an unrealistic plot of Andrew Garfield being a pacifist, and it's just like, hey, I'm not fighting. I don't want to learn your guns, how to work them and whatnot. I'm just here to be a medic. And his father being disappointed in him, Hugo Weaving, is like, fits a father of that time. When you think of like an old classic movie, like a mean,
like a World War II era dad,
bitter father, like that's what I think of. So like perfect casting, but because of the war and everything so gritty, it makes Andrew Garfield's character seem more realistic, because it's like, okay, if you told me this plot, I would like, that's a stupid idea for a movie, because a pacifist in war, what? But it works, and because it works so well and the performance was so good, that third act, tensions on all-time high, is so fucking good. So good. Number 4, mentioned it earlier. It's The Deer Hunter.
Oh.
This movie is honestly terrifying. Like, honestly, like, I'm not trying to go to war, you know what I'm saying? Like, the Vietnam War is obviously the most, I would say, like, controversial war of the wars I know of, which is meager war knowledge. But this shit was fucked up.
Clearly, no debating.
There was, like, they said, no wars, no rules. There was those torturing motherfuckers. Like, the Russian roulette scene.
Yeah, Vietnam's fucked up.
Hard to watch. You got the greatest actors of the 1970s in this movie, minus Mel Gibson and Pacino. You got Shriek, De Niro, Christopher Walken's in this thing. A list of fucking banger actors. And they just put on this cold, hard performance. Like, it's a hard movie to watch, and I think for a war movie, some of them need that element of being hard to watch, because this is no joking, laughing matter. And it shows what happens when you come home from war and how it changes you and shit. And I think that's also very important, because there's a bunch of movies I haven't seen, but it's like, hey, that's very important, because motherfuckers do come back from war. They're not the same person because they've seen some fucked up shit. And that's real life. Like, the homeless pandemic of all the people coming back and being treated like shit. Well, there's a reason for that, you know? Not that they should be treated like shit, but there's a reason they were all homeless, because they couldn't get their lives back together after seeing all that.
Yeah, PTSD,
Yeah.
lack of understanding of how that stuff works, an absolutely awful VA system. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is weird. I don't know much about this. You probably know more about it than I do. Did we have this problem during World War II? People coming home and just not knowing what to do with their lives?
No, the mentality was a little bit different. Also, World War II was like a little more. I'm not saying that World War II wasn't bad in terms of like violence and like things like that, but it wasn't like. It was a little more structured. It was a little more classical in terms of how we were conducting warfare with our enemy, whereas Vietnam is like. It's just like guerrilla style tactics, kind of fucked up. We weren't really fighting. Like World War II, I feel like Americans kind of collectively for the most, like there were still people who were against us being involved in World War II even after Pearl Harbor, but after Pearl Harbor, most of the American public was like, nah, let's fuck these motherfuckers up. So it's like you had more support back home. Yeah. There was a real purpose to it, where this was just like kind of part of a geopolitical agenda, and like a lot of guys didn't even understand why they were in the first place.
The flower power movement.
They have little kids running up to them with bombs strapped to their chest. Like, I mean, Vietnam is fucked. So I'm not saying people didn't come back from World War II with like shell shock and PTSD, because
but it wasn't like
absolutely did. But like the
millions of them, like not millions, thousands of being homeless.
Yeah, the vibe was way different. Yeah. And like they were treated like heroes when they came back from World War II, and like coming back from Vietnam was just like, woof.
Just taking white women in the middle of the time, sure, I'm throwing them down, kissing them.
Sure, yeah.
World War II was consent, dog. That picture.
Yeah,
he didn't know that girl. He just kissed her for no reason.
I know.
Craziness.
Yeah. My number 5. Are you done?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, my number 5 is Fury. I really like this movie. I really like Brad Pitt. He's got a lot of charisma. I really like Tom Hardy. He's in this. I really like Michael Pena. He's in this. And I really like Shia LaBeouf. And he's also in this. Like, that's a pretty solid cast. It's also, like, not your traditional war movie because it is about a tank crew. But
you're forgetting somebody.
We still get,
Jonathan Berthenol.
Oh, yeah. Barenthal's in that, too. Yeah. He is really good. Him and Brad Pitt both are really good at being dirty.
Shia LaBeouf was literally dirty for that movie, I've heard. He had to take showers.
Yeah, that's true. But like literally, like you smudge some dirt on like Barenthal or Brad Pitt's face, they just wear it really well. I don't know how else to explain that. But yeah. It's a movie about a tank crew, which is not your like normal war movie. I really dig that. But you still get the quiet moment before the storm where you do some character building and they're telling stories about their past life, and like, there's hazing of the younger guy going on, then Brad Pitt kind of looks out for him a little bit, and like, a lot of classical elements of a war movie in here, but it's in a tank and it has eclectic actors in it, and I really like them. Number 4 for me, the non-traditional war movie of the bunch that is still absolutely a war movie. I'm never going to miss a chance to put a Star Wars movie on a list. So, Rogue One.
I was like, the bunch? What the fuck is the bunch?
Oh, yeah. So, despite being in a franchise named Star Wars, Rogue One is the most war movie of all of them. I mean, you got the espionage aspect building up to like the actual Battle of Scarif, where you have troops on the ground. Someone's trying to go do the mission on the secret, but then you have all the grunt troops show up and everybody's shooting each other and there's blowing things up, and it's war. And I like it.
Whoa.
What is it good for?
Get back now. Absolutely nothing. Wow. Say it again now. My number 3, Dunkirk. This is pure brilliance of filmmaking. That doesn't make sense. You get what I'm saying, though.
It's brilliant filmmaking?
Brilliant filmmaking.
Oh.
Stupid.
Christopher Nolan said, it reminds me of that Dave Chappelle stand-up skit where he was like, I'm so fucking good. I'm telling you the punchline now. and I'm gonna tell you the joke, and I'm gonna go into the punchline, and it's gonna kill. Everyone's gonna be laughing, and then he did it, and it was unexpected. Then he hit you with the punchline. I was like, holy shit, because the punchline was so absurd that it was like, how are you ever gonna fit that into like a joke? Christopher Nolan did the same thing. Christopher Nolan said, I'm so fucking good, I'm making a movie with no character arcs. It's just going to be boom, boom, boom. These are things that happened during the Dunkirk battle. I'm going to put it on screen. And it's really like, this movie made me fucking cry. And that just shows the level of investment to have me emotional enough to tear up and shed a few tears for a movie with no character arcs. You know what movie makes me cry? Rocky. One of the greatest character arcs of all time. Character arcs mean tears. The relationship between father and son, that arc that they go through in Big Fish, that makes me cry. This has no character arc. Stressing that because it's mind-blowing to make a film with no character arc, and it had the emotional level and impact on an audience goer to make them tear up and cry a little bit. It's insane. Obviously, the technical stuff is out of this world because it is Christopher Nolan, so Dunkirk had to make my list. Real quick, do you need to make any changes to your list, Mr. Oh No?
I'm not going to make any changes, but while you were talking, I did think about a movie that I forgot.
Did it take place in 1917?
It did.
That's my number 2.
Yeah, I don't know why, but for some reason I just did not think about 1917.
Again.
And it would have been 2 or 3 for me.
Brilliant filmmaking. Roger Deakins was like, you know, it would be cool if we did this all in one take. And I was like, that's impossible. He's like, editing, bitch. And then put this movie and made it in one take. And again, a really big deal in movies in general because people were so, like, you and I, like, film people were blown away by this.
Right.
But non-moviegoers that just go to see movies were so impressed by the skill and technique. Like, oh my god, it looked like a documentary, everything just like, it never stopped. Like, I remember having people telling me that, yes. And it was like, yeah, like, the dude's a fucking genius when it comes to his craft and filming and editing and make everything look so pretty, but also keeping in mind, I have to go behind this beam for this take, or go behind this tree for this take, or my character has to fall into the dirt and the camera has dirt on it, and when I pick it back up I have to sling that dirt off and have a new scene. And this one I put above Dunkirk a little bit because of the character arc. You get to know these two guys while they go on their mission, and everything happens in between
for a little bit.
This is kind of a new movie. But everything goes in between. And then, since we're spoiling it, fuck it. The ending where he hands the leather, and fucking Benedict Cumberbatch was like, I don't give a fuck about that letter, dude. You're a peon. Fuck that letter. And it's like, you did all of this for Doctor Strange to shit the fucking, one of the worst Avengers, the shit on your fucking journey? What the fuck?
Yeah.
And it pisses you off so much, and it really puts a good cap on the movie. And obviously, history's like, oh, word, bet we have to listen to him. Okay. Oh shit, he's right. I'm not giving you credit, but we need to get these troops retreating and shit, whatever, right?
Yeah.
And it's such a good movie.
Yeah, it is an incredible movie. I'm really bummed that I didn't think about it while I was making my list. Normally, I look at lists for war movies. I didn't get off work until 6:30 this morning, so made the list on the fly. But yeah, it is incredible. I think that what you were talking about, how it blew a lot of people's minds that they managed to do this whole one take thing. And there were also still that small group of people who were like, oh, this is it's not a good movie. It's just a gimmick and blah, blah, blah. And I feel like when you cause that much discourse, it is because you made noise. And those people don't like that you made noise. So they feel like they have to counteract that, which to me is just another mark that you did something right.
You know what else makes noise? Bombs. like an Imajima.
Yeah, it's true. You know what else makes noise?
A Full Metal Jacket.
Bastards. Like Inglourious Ones, which is my number 3. Inglourious Bastards. Great movie. Obviously, again, kind of taking... Like Quentin Tarantino, he loves doing his alternate history things. This one, you got a couple different storylines. They all converge with each other, which, again, is another hallmark of Quentin Tarantino movies. He likes to do that shit. This one, what really does it for me is the cast. Brad Pitt, again, doing Brad Pitt things. Obviously, Christoph Waltz is incredible. But yeah, it's just like... I like war movies that have like a journey to them, which is another part of like the next one, and also another part of 1917. Right? So like some war movies, it's like we have just kind of a build up to a battle. Other war movies, it's like we're moving, we're on a mission, we're doing something. I like those a lot. Bastards is that way. They're taking out as many Nazis as they can on their way to get to this theater, which like I also love the fact that it just ends in a theater because movies are great. But yeah, great ending, great storylines, excellent characters with Tarantino flair, all in a war movie.
You know what made that movie better?
What?
Leonardo DiCaprio hitting a motherfucker with a flamethrower.
That would have been dope. Yeah, I would not be mad about that at all. Anyways, number 2, Saving Private Ryan. What?
I could have swore that was going to be your number 1.
Oh, really?
I don't know what your number 1's going to be.
Oh.
That's interesting.
Yeah, Saving Private Ryan. It's kind of like the quintessential war movie.
I 100% agree.
I think, like, when you think of... If you ask a random person on the street, name the best war movie you've ever seen, they're probably going to say Saving Private Ryan. It is long. It is also very good. It does a good job of character building. You get to spend time with the team, learn about everybody, and then you get to Ryan, and then you kind of have that similar aspect of like, we worked so hard to get here just for this snot-nosed fucking kid to be like, fuck you. And then Tom Hanks, who understands the importance of it, is like, fuck it, let's do his plan. And then shit hits the fan, and it all works out. Now, the ending, I don't like when he, like, old man...
Don't ruin it.
What?
I haven't seen it.
You've never seen the movie?
Well, I kind of seen it. So, we watched it. We had a core teacher when we were learning about World War II in high school, so we watched it. But it is very long, so I watched the badass beginning, fell asleep, woke up. Where the fuck did Matt Damon come from? Went back to sleep.
Oh, well, yeah, you should watch. I think that, like...
It's on the list. Like, I know I need to watch it. Spielberg, Hanks, Vin Diesel.
Well, yeah.
Classic actors.
Right. Yeah, I think that is definitely, like...
essential.
It is, but it's like a one watch. Like, I don't think it's something you ever need to watch more than once.
Oh.
Like, you will get everything you need to get out of Saving Private Ryan on the first watch.
Good thing I bought it on a steelboat.
Right. What's your number 1?
Full Metal Jacket.
Oh.
Fucking love that movie.
It's okay.
Fucking Ernie as Sergeant Gunnery Hartman is fucking brutal. Like, he's so mean, but as he says in the film, it's for a purpose. And especially for that war, like, you had to be tough. He is, what does he say? I am hard, you will not like me. But in the beginning, where he's just spouts all fucking insult after insult, and these ain't no, like, Mama Luke and insults, like, they're fucking good.
I didn't know they stack shit that high.
Exactly. He says a bunch of things I can't say on YouTube.
Golf balls and garden hoses.
But, John Wayne, is that you? Is this me? Who said that? Who said that? Like, quotable out the wazoo. Oh, we got a Joker over here. I'm gonna call you Private Joker. I like you, Private Joker. You can come and fuck my sister. And then proceeds to hit him with the worst punch in film history. He puts his hand up like this and goes, bah! It's like, what the fuck you doing, old man? da 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 da, like standing over him, the shots and everything is so good. But you have that, like, it's honestly comedy. Like, you go into it in the beginning and it's like, see people getting their heads shaved and everything. And personally, that reminds me of the scene from Stripes, which almost made my list because of my lack of war movies. But they're all getting their heads shaved in Stripes and John Candy and everything. Fucking funny scene. But that's what it makes me think of the beginning. And then you roll into that and he's just fucking massacring people verbally. And it's hilarious. Because I like roasting people. I love wilding out. Me and my friends, since I was a wee young lad, grew up insulting each other. It's just what we did.
As a form of endearment.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what we do. So I fucking loved it. But I also understood why he did it. And how hard he was for a reason and everything. And it's really two different movies. Like, it's two short films put together. You get the first movie and the sequel all in one, really. You get the bathroom scene, which is very intense, but then you go off the war. And then that shit, again, just like The Deer Hunter. You have a filmmaker where he says, the world says, you know what, just let him do what he wants to do. And if you like it, good. If you don't, tough tit. You know, like, being offended wasn't that big of a deal back then. So when he's doing everything he's doing and making one of the most disturbing, fucked up movies at that time, it was like, oh my god, is this really what Vietnam was like? It was these young men that you wouldn't see in a war movie. Like, they just went, it was like, you don't like you being a war movie, you don't like you being a war movie. But that's like real life. This is real shit.
People got drafted.
So, for Vietnam? Vietnam, hell on earth. I think it's realistic to say. Because my only, like, idea of Vietnam before I watched this movie was Forrest Gump. And it didn't seem that bad in Forrest Gump.
Well, that's because they unplugged all the cords and you couldn't hear Forrest Gump tell you how bad it was in Vietnam.
Yeah, exactly. But it also, like, makes it so realistic, which is another reason why I love Full Metal Jacket, is because it's like, there are days where it's hell on earth, but then there's other days where it's just like a regular fucking day. You got a fucking prostitute coming up to you, probably, like, got some shit, and she's like, "Oh, me love you long time." Shit like that. That's where I came from, dog. Good for you, Kubrick. People still saying that nowadays.
No, it's true.
So, just like the impactfulness of this movie, the comedy mixed in, the realism, is just so fascinating that one day you could see a murder-suicide and then laugh that a prostitute's trying to hook up with you and you have your camera stolen and you don't really care. It's just like the transformation of a human life to be prepared for such violence at the time is astounding in a weird way.
I think it happens quicker than you think it does.
Mike, maybe.
My number one is also about Vietnam and also about how awful war is. I went Apocalypse Now, which is like the other quintessential classic war movie. But yeah, it basically, I mean, another movie about PTSD.
Time out.
So when we do our top fives, these are our favorites of the genre, of the actor, blank. This is really your favorite war movie?
It is my favorite portrayal of war in a movie.
That is surprising.
Yeah. Listen, war is stupid.
Honestly, I thought
Like,
MASH was going to be on your list. That's what I thought your number one was.
That's dumb.
You don't like MASH?
The TV show's good.
I feel like you would. You don't like the movie MASH?
No. No.
That's kind of surprising.
Wait, are you talking about like the remake they did or like...
Was it a remake?
Yeah, there's
1970s MASH, the movie.
Okay.
I feel like you would really enjoy that movie.
Okay, yeah, that's different. I do really enjoy that movie.
I thought that was being number one.
No,
that's
there's
kind of
some
your
stupid
humor
remake, but...
All right, go ahead. Anyways,
war is stupid. I mean, not to get into a whole conversation about the military-industrial complex, but whether anyone wants to admit it or not, the United States absolutely uses war to profit, just like every other country in the world does. Absolutely uses it for their own benefit, often under the guise of we are trying to defend the little guy. That being said, a lot of the people who are participating in war, who are in the military, they are doing it to protect the little guy. So I'm not a big fan of this whole just because you were in the army or have something to do with the military, that means you are somehow part of the problem, because most of those people actually have really good intentions and appreciate you. But war itself is really bad. In my opinion, it should only ever be used for defense. And Vietnam is a really good example of when a stick in our nose where it doesn't belong can go really, really bad. So obviously this one like gets a little weird at times. Like maybe things weren't as outlandish as they were in this movie. Like when you get like the surfing platoon and like obviously where like Kurtz ends up at like the very end is potentially a little stretched or far-fetched, but that's not the point of the movie. The point of the movie is that people saw some really fucked up shit while they were there, and this guy saw how pointless and futile all of this was, and he was like a high-ranking, important colonel, and even he was like, what are we doing? To the point where it essentially drove him so bonkers, he just created his own little weird utopia, just sub whatever, I don't even know what you call it, basically cult. And it was just like, yeah, this is what I'm doing now, and I'm not fucking going with you.
Favorite actors in that movie?
Which one?
Harrison Ford.
Harrison Ford is very briefly, but he is in that movie. I thought you were going to make a joke about someone random in that movie being my favorite actor. Huh.
Lawrence Fishburne's in that movie too.
That's true.
Underage.
Yeah.
Legally in that movie.
Very young.
Good for him though.
He did it.
Come out of bat with a fucking classic like that.
He snuck through.
But tell us down low in the comment section your top 5 favorite war movies. This is important to us. We want to know. And always share the video, like, and subscribe.
It's not a game, it's a